Hey guys, Luke here, and it's grand final week, so I think it'd be fitting if I actually talked about the grand final thing. It's been talking about the Dally M and talking about a few things like that, but I think it's fitting if we talk about Panthers first. Obviously, they came first overall, so I'll talk about Melbourne probably tomorrow, but for today's video, I'm just going to be talking about the Penrith Panthers and talking about their 2020 year so far. So obviously, they got the minor premiership, they only lost one game throughout the whole season, and they're going into this grand final on a 17-game win streak. Now, look, the loss that they had, I think, was against the Eels, and it was so long ago, I can't even really remember it. I couldn't even tell you if it was like a super close game or not. But yeah, apart from that one blunder against the Eels, a pretty flawless season. Probably the closest you're going to get to a season where a team goes undefeated in the NRL. So this is closest you'll get to an invincible season by the Panthers, I think. I think personally, I can't see another team sort of going like this. I think due to the COVID sort of stuff, and the shorter season, I think it definitely helped Penrith. I think early on in the season, I think they benefited from the COVID stuff, and they benefited from the rule changes too. In the sense that I think the faster style, or those 6 again stuff, I think it really did help them. And I think having the no crowds and sort of less pressure, I think it definitely helped the Panthers side because they're such a young side. So I think having no crowds and all that, although the crowds can spur teams on, it can also be detrimental when they go and play away games. So I think it was good for Penrith to start the season off. And then also when the crowd started coming back in, I thought it came at a good time. They had the momentum all of a sudden. And then all these guys who were kind of not unknowns, but they definitely weren't looked at as being a premiership contender, in my opinion. Especially after last year, I thought they were kind of looked at as a bit of not a joke side, but I think they were a side that people sort of looked at and went, oh, well, they might make the 8. They might struggle to make the 8. But look, they've ended up being the best team all season, and I think they're being coached very, very well. But I think a lot of it comes down to the fact that Nathan Cleary has really turned on this year. And I think that's because he's had a lot of help in the sense that Jerome Luai and Abby Coruscant have been so good for him. The fullback, Dylan Edwards and Aikens, I think Aikens is his name, sort of been interchanging throughout the season due to injury and stuff. So I think the fullback for Penrith, it isn't a super important position. They just need someone who's sort of solid enough, and obviously Edwards is doing the job. I mean, he's a pretty solid player. Like I said, he's been around for a couple of years now, so he's definitely a first grader, I would say, even though I think he got dropped at some stage. But I think Edwards is definitely a solid enough player, but he's not someone, if you chuck him in the Bulldogs, to be a standout. I mean, you could probably chuck Nick Meaney into this Penrith side and they're probably in the exact same position. They're just super solid throughout the whole side. And if you look at this Penrith side, they're not full of superstars. Now, if you look at the Storm, you've got your Munsters, you've got your Cameron Smiths and that. But this Penrith side, they've got a lot of sort of just really good players. Like if you made them in a video game, there'd be a lot of sort of 84, 85 rated. And then you probably have your Nathan Clearys who would be up in the 90s and that. But a lot of them you'd think are just a very, very good solid players, whereas some other sides they've got a few superstars, but the rest of the side isn't that great. I feel like their salary cap is spread out very, very evenly, and I feel like that's worked very well for them. Might not be so good in a couple of years' time. They might start losing a few players, but right now, I think they're in that premiership window, and they very well might win this premiership. And I say, look, the bookies have them as the underdogs, which I'm sort of scratching my head at, considering how good they've been this season. I think it probably more comes down to the fact that it's Melbourne Storm, and also how good the Storm were last week. But Penrith 17 games in a row, and they go into the grand final as the underdogs. It doesn't really make sense, does it? Especially considering they came first on the ladder as well. Now it's 1 versus 2. Look, I think for Penrith to win, the spine needs to step up. Well, not step up. They just need to play how they normally play, essentially. Jerome Luai, Nathan Cleary, outstanding. I can't believe Nathan Cleary didn't win the Dally M. I've already made a video about that. But yeah, I can't believe he didn't win the Dally M. But yeah, in Coruscant, it's crazy to think that Coruscant was like hours away from signing with the Bulldogs. Could have been a very different year for Penrith. I think he's been a big upgrade. He's probably been the one to really change Penrith. I know I was sort of alluding to, I was saying a lot of it was Nathan Cleary, but I was more saying Nathan Cleary's been able to play to his full ability because of the help around him. Last year they were having guys like Sione Katoa, who's been in reserve grade, or not even reserve grade, but couldn't even get a start at the Bulldogs. They had Wade Egan, who's sort of been in and out of the Penrith side. They had guys like that playing the hook position. And Maloney as well. Maloney was getting on. I mean, Maloney's a good player. We saw him play very well in Origin. We saw the halves combo do bits in Origin last year when they were given the opportunity, but I think it was more Nathan Cleary was just too respectful to James Maloney, if that makes sense. Sort of just let him do too much. Whereas you got Jerome Luai there, they've played together for a long time. They're very comfortable together. I think majority of this side has come through the ranks with each other, which I think helps a lot. There's no players sort of walking on eggshells. It's apparently very good vibes. Zane Tanavano talked about how he came in, coming from the Roosters, and just how relaxed and sort of, I don't know, they had music blaring, all that sort of stuff. It just seems like a very, very good, just good vibes around. I think that's what you want in a team. You don't want players sort of going, oh shit, I got to go to training, or oh no, under so much pressure. You want players just going in there, having a good time, and the results will come from that, I reckon. And I think that's what Penrith have done. They just kept up the good vibes, especially in this whole bubble system. I think it's been good for them that they've been so close, and I think it's really, really spurred them on, and the results have come on the field. Maybe if they were losing, maybe wouldn't have been such good morale, but they are, and everything was just sticking for them this year. And maybe they're going to fall off next year, maybe they won't, but this year I think they're a very, very good chance to win the premiership. Obviously they're playing the grand final, very, very good chance. But look, if Penrith play to their ability, I think they win. I think they've been the clear standout throughout the season, and look, they have sort of dropped off in the finals a little bit, I think, but look, that's just nerves getting to them, but that's what they need to make sure does not happen on grand final day. If they've been getting a little bit nervy in these sort of preliminary finals and that sort of stuff, imagine what's going to happen in the grand final, and against the Storm too. So I think for Penrith, they need to get up to a quick start and sort of just ease those nerves. I think we'll probably find out within the first 15 minutes whether Penrith are going to win or not. Look, if they can survive the first 15, 20 minutes and not look too shaky, I think they're going to be quite good, and I think they might run away with it. But Penrith just great in attack, great in defence. Look, what a turnaround it's been. Like I said, I didn't see them in this position. Like I said, look, with the whole Phil Gould 5-year plan, all that sort of stuff, they kind of turned into a bit of a mean team. Ivan Cleary there. Look, they're not the most likeable side in terms of Ivan Cleary, but I think despite Ivan Cleary and all the stuff he did at the Tigers and all that, I think there are a lot of likeable players in the side. And I think a big thing for them is, like I said, the harmony, but in terms of actual ability on the field, they've got great leadership in terms of James Tammy. They've still got some decent experience. And the youngsters, they're not just literal youngsters. The guys who have been playing for a couple of seasons now, like Isaiah Yo's finally found his position. Kickows, he's a superstar of the game. So there's your superstars talking about. And then you got Cleary, who's been around for a fair while. Jerome Malai's been in and amongst the team. And when he's played, he's actually looked quite good. I mean, they're playing at centre last year and just throwing him in any position just to get him experience, I think. But I think for them, Josh Mansell back to form, Brian Suwari absolutely outstanding, and then you add in Stephen Crichton. I think he's been a revelation this year. Didn't get Rookie of the Year last night, but I think he did get Centre of the Year. So a very, very good season for Stephen Crichton. But overall, the Panthers side is just so solid. You can't really look at that side anywhere and say, yep, that's a weakness, which I think is the best thing you can say about Penrith, is that there's no real obvious weakness, apart from finals experience. So we'll find out on grand final day whether they need that finals experience. I'd say they probably do. I think that's the biggest thing that hampers them, but maybe just the pure passion and maybe them being naive is actually a good thing going into this game. It's not like, I think James Tummy might be the only one who's played in a grand final, and a lot of them have barely even played finals footy. So going into this game, look, maybe the fact that majority of them haven't played, maybe it'll work for them, maybe it'll work against them, remains to be seen. But yeah, I think Penrith definitely deserve to be in the grand final. I'm glad they're in the grand final. In fact, I'm glad they're playing Melbourne 1 versus 2. It's always nice to see that. It kind of shows you that the regular season actually is for something. So a lot of the time people say, oh, well, wait till the finals and we'll see who's really good. But look, this just shows that these were the best sides, and there's no sort of a lot of talk about Penrith. Oh, well, they had an easy draw. They didn't have to travel and that sort of stuff. This just shows that this really means that they were the best team throughout the regular season, because they've made it to the grand final. They've beat a lot of those other sides. Look, Rabbitohs were probably the form team going into the final. So the fact that they beat them, I think it really shows how tough the Panthers are as well, which is probably another good thing about them. But yeah, Melbourne's definitely going to be a tough ask. Tomorrow's video, I'm going to be talking about Melbourne. Leave in the comment section below, what are your thoughts of Panthers in 2020? Do you think they're going to get the job done in the grand final? And who would you say is the most important player? For me, I'd say it's Nathan Cleary. But I'd also say Coruscant and probably Kickout is another good one. I think Kickout can get going in that grand final. Just get them going forward. I think it would be very good for them. But yeah, Fisher Harris. So they've got a lot of good players, a lot of important players. But who do you think is their most valuable player in 2020? And what do you think, Nathan Cleary? Should he got the Dally M? Leave in the comment section below as well. And guys, if you did happen to enjoy this video, make sure you go ahead and leave a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new around here as well. And turn on the notification bell. It's very important. Let you be notified immediately when I've uploaded. So go ahead and do that. Also follow me on social media. It's on the screen right now. It's Mr. Luke and YT. Snapchat is also Mr. Luke and YT, and I post on that a fair bit, probably more than any other social media. So go ahead and give me a ad on that. Follow. I don't know. Give me an ad on that. And that's where I'm going to end the video. Tomorrow's video is going to be a video on the Melbourne Storm, similar to this. So stay tuned for that, and stay tuned for all the other videos throughout Grand Final week. I'll see you in the next video, guys. Bye.